Good evening, welcome to Central News for Monday the 11th of November. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Western Bay of Plenty PPTA says there is a huge amount of evidence that shows a morning tea break helps with productivity to a working day. The Post-Primary Teachers Association took part in the Council of Trade Unions Give Us a Break campaign against Simon Bridges' proposed bill, which the union says will leave break times to the discretion of the employer. Regional Chair Graham Bridge says they will continue to fight the proposed changes against the Employment Amendment Bill.
That's an emphatic yes, because the bill will only further reduce pay conditions for New Zealand workers, especially the low paid and the vulnerable. That not only affect our teachers, but as I said, our communities and our students who are part of that community. And it's a union's right to be at the negotiating table and to fight every step of the way to keep workers' rights protected.
A condemned building is making the Tauranga Woodcrafters Guild rethink their purpose. The current clubhouse is due to be demolished, and in a bid to gain funding for a new building, they have decided to teach their knowledge to society. Club member Doug St George says they have started doing workshops and teaching people the skills of marquetry and intarsia.
Yes, cometh the bulldozer. This building is condemned basically. It's not safe earthquake-wise, it's not up to fire standards, and our lease expires in May next year, and the council wants to bulldoze it down. And we have to go somewhere. We've been negotiating 2 years now with the council, and we've finally got a piece of land that we can build on. So now we've got to go to the funding charities and put together a really good story about why we deserve their funding. And they say they're not interested in funding a building just for our 55 club members. We've got to be offering something to the community beyond that. So we're contacting the people at the Mount Maunganui, because this is over that way, Hewletts Road, who've been talking about a men's shed. And this, if we can embrace the men's shed concept on top of our own club and call it a community workshop, because we've got young ladies and we don't want this gender bias, we can put a good case for funding. We also want to run the equivalent of the old night school that the colleges ran.
Now for our region's weather, Hamilton, your Tuesday will be fine with light winds, and your expected high is 22 and an overnight low of 6. Tauranga, a nice fine day for you too with sea breezes. Your expected high is 22 and an overnight low of 9. Just ahead, tweeting on the beat. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. Bay Plenty Police were part of an international campaign to showcase the everyday duties of a police officer, and it involved tweeting on the beat. I spoke with Bay Plenty Intelligence Collection Coordinator to find out what the idea is behind the tweets.
Well, basically it's to show the members of the public a snapshot or an insight into what the New Zealand Police do during their day-to-day events, and basically so they can have some sort of understanding of how we go about our business and do things. A lot of people find that extremely interesting. And this is not the first time Bay Plenty have done a tweetathon. We ran one at New Year's Eve here at the Mount, which was absolutely awesome. Yeah. So we're not too new to the tweetathon things. During that time at the Mount, we had over 40,000 people following the tweets that we're sending out, so really good stuff for us.
So how many officers were involved in the tweeting frenzy, and what did it require them to do?
The tweeting frenzy, well, in New Zealand, in New Zealand Police, I should say, we only have 3 Twitter accounts in different districts. So in the Bay of Plenty is one, in Counties Manukau is one, and PNHQ has several, basically around their recruiting, dog handlers, that sort of stuff. So really, for us, it was just myself in the Bay of Plenty, and so what I did was travel around the whole of the Bay of Plenty district and just trying to give snapshots from different areas.
What were the officers tweeting about? Can you give us an example?
For us, it was a wide range of things in the Bay of Plenty, so we wanted to really showcase the different things that we did. So first of all, we started off in the Whakatane area, where we had a dog show at a local intermediate school there, which the kids just absolutely loved. Also, that was attended by the Police Minister, Anne Tolley, so because the whole thing behind that was they give away an award each year for the best dog handler in the Bay of Plenty, and that's come from the school, and so they host them and everything, so the kids love that. So of course we went there and took some dog photos, which people just love on Twitter. And then from there we also looked at some other sort of real-time events that were happening, like a truck crash which jackknifed and blocked the road. We had a pursuit with a gang member on a motorbike. And then some other sort of things we wanted to get out was around our key messages around prevention and crime prevention and things like that. And lastly, one of the other things we looked at was showing the world, because obviously it was advertised throughout the whole world. Let's showcase the Bay of Plenty, and we showed them some photos of our office, as we call it, so of the Ahopi Beach, Lake Rotomar and things like that, so they could see how great we've got it here in the Bay of Plenty.
So it was kind of a tourism campaign for the whole of New Zealand.
Yeah, well, exactly, you know, and we always like to have one up on the Aussies and things like that. So we, show them how great our office is always good to see as well. So
Now, the last time this was done in March, it became a trending topic. So what does a trending topic mean?
Trending topic, well, it's a little bit scientific there, but basically at the end of the day, what they do in Twitter, they have basically the top tweets or topics or hashtags. So hashtag is around a topic on Twitter. So this one was poll tweet as the sort of category or the topic that everyone was talking about. And what happens with that is that they monitor how many people are tweeting about that, and the more people that tweet about it, the more it trends. So if you get to quite a national level where everyone's talking about it, then what will happen, it will come up to like a top list of trending topics. So things like when Justin Bieber was in town or Beyonce, they automatically pretty much go to the top of the tweet trending stuff. So
How many people were following this time?
this time they haven't released the official results yet, but at sort of, I suppose, halfway through, they had over 250 organisations throughout the world, police organisations tweeting, which is great. 75 of those were officer-based tweets, so personal officers actually tweeting with their police accounts. And as far as I know, it's in probably the hundreds of thousands of people seeing it and reaching there, so great event.
It's an international project, so where did the idea come from?
Well, it came from the States, and they basically, one of a lady over there who works in a law enforcement company, so basically deals with a lot of law enforcement, saw that a lot of the law enforcement around the States and also the world didn't really communicate that well. So she wanted to look at an event where we could all get together and not only show the public what we do, but communicate amongst ourselves. So she came up with the Twitter-thon idea, and first of all, she decided she was going to do it just within her own state. But then one of the guys said, hey, I know some cops in England who'll probably be involved. So then they really pushed it out worldwide. And of course, New Zealand jumped on board as well. So.
Is that communications between police and the public, or police within themselves?
Well, I think she meant more between ourselves, within agency to agency, and you could really see from some of the tweets that it was really good for, like you had the likes of New South Wales police tweeting their brand new cars that have just gone out, which are fully internet capable and really great. So then, of course, some of the states, they started tweeting their pictures of their really good cars and things like that. And so there was a little bit of rivalry in there as well, which is great to see, but also some of the really good stuff coming out of the UK was around different crime prevention strategies they're using over there and things that we could learn from them and they could learn from us. So.
Was there much difference to what New Zealand police tweeted about compared to the other countries?
Well, yeah, there was a little bit. I suppose, as I mentioned before, around the whole office sort of thing, we put that out there, and that was quite interesting because a lot of the other overseas picked up on that and started tweeting photos from around there, so really good to see. But other agencies, like in Australia, I believe it was Canberra, they decided that they would just tweet historic events from their past, so maybe not as interesting as some of the other tweets that were out there, yeah.
How did you protect people's privacy?
Well, that's a good point, because that's something that we really take seriously in New Zealand Police. Privacy is paramount for us, and so one of the ways we do that is we turn off our GPS locations on all our tweets, so that people can't see the locations or where it's coming from. Also, we don't include any timings, so that that can't be assigned to people, and of course no personal details. And actually during this tweet-thon, we actually received some tweets from the New Zealand Privacy tweeting account, and they said well done to us for doing that sort of stuff. So obviously a step in the right direction, yeah.
Coming up next, we meet the new Deputy Mayor of Tauranga. Welcome back. Tauranga City Council had a bit of a shake-up as a result of the recent election. Several long-standing councillors have been voted out and made way for 7 brand new councillors, and one of them has been appointed Deputy Mayor. I spoke with Calvin Clout to see how he celebrated his new title.
Well, actually, my biggest celebration was actually on the night of finding out the election results, becoming a councillor. So that was really the biggest celebration, and we just had a just an open house, and everyone came round, and family and friends, and had a barbecue and a few drinks. So it was all very civilised. And as far as when I found out that I was going to become Deputy Mayor, I just took my wife out to dinner. So that kept it sort of fairly low key, but we celebrated nevertheless. Yeah.
What are you now going to do towards creating that clear vision for Tauranga City?
Well, as part of the induction process, us as a body of elected members are getting together later on this month, and we're actually having like a whole day just backgrounding the current vision, and then looking at new potential vision possibilities for the future. And so that is going to be a process, because these things don't happen straight away. But we are working with some very good external agencies as well, just to help refine that. But there will be a very clear vision comes out of it. As I say, that'll be in the next month or two.
So you will try to implement a strong vision statement?
I would expect there will be some, I expect that will be the case. I guess the key thing is trying to encapsulate your vision into a statement, and that's not easy in trying to put it into one sentence, particularly given that Tauranga has so many wonderful attributes and things going for it. That's going to be a challenge to put it all into one sentence, but well, let's see what we can come up with. You
felt there was a divided council before with your campaign. Do you think that this council will be more unified?
Yeah, definitely. When you look at the previous council, there were 2 or 3 factions, you might say, and that was played out in the local media. And I think that's something that is quite destructive in terms of the image of the council and the morale of the city as a whole. So I believe that with the new council, that there's a real intention to work closely together. If there are disagreements, that we will actually work those things through, and then come to a collective decision, and then stick by that as a council. Now I know it's early days yet, but I do believe that there is a real good feeling of camaraderie already developing, and hey, we're also having a bit of fun along the way. We're actually getting on well with each other and enjoying each other's company. So that's a really good starting point.
You stated in your campaign, bureaucrats and Resource Management Act barriers are stifling growth of the local economy and housing development. What do you plan to do now to tackle that issue?
One of the key things that I campaigned on myself was housing affordability, and there is a housing affordability forum which I'm actually going to be attending my very first meeting of that. In fact, it's next week, so I'm looking forward to participating with that. And in that forum, we will be tackling all of the main issues around housing affordability, around the RMA, around land availability, building codes, and that sort of thing, and also development contributions as well, to try and tackle this big area of housing affordability. Tauranga is such a beautiful city. People want to live here and they want to work here, but the housing does need to be more affordable than it currently is.
How will you try to balance that and protecting the environment?
Well, we'll just have to go through the usual hoops, as it were, in terms of the environmental compliances, but I believe that that's something that the council can do in collaboration with Bay of Plenty Regional Council, who obviously look after the environmental aspects of the city development. We're also working very closely with the Smart Growth Strategy, and all of the players in there all are very mindful of environmental impacts.
So do you think that development contributions possibly could be more?
There is argument to say that development contribution fees are actually at the high end of the scale. That's what we are told by the development community, which of course you would probably expect them to say that. At the moment though, there are some major reforms coming through local government through the Local Government Act, and so those processes are in place right now. There's going to be a lot of discussion around development contributions in the next 2 or 3 months. I would definitely like to see them come down, but then bearing in mind that those DCs, as what they're called, they help fund a lot of the amenities and facilities that the community does want. So there's a real balancing act there, but I believe that we can address those.
You are chair now of the City Delivery and Monitoring Committee. So how are you going to tackle the debt issue?
Well, the debt is, as we all know, has been a major election issue. Now, we in fact just recently received some briefings on the state of the city's finances, and we are, as elected members, getting a much better handle on that, how the debt was accumulated, what the projections for the debt are. Now, there's a lot of things that impact on debt. The biggest two are the revenue that we can derive as a council. So that's looking at rates, user charges and developer contributions primarily. Then the other aspect is the capital expenditure. Now, there's a lot of capital expenditure that has been deferred over recent years, and we are looking again at how we can actually stagger some of those big projects to make sure that the debt is actually not blowing out of proportion. So these are very big issues that we are going to be dealing with.
We will play the second part of that interview later in the week, where we talk about the Southern Pipeline and Route K. Just ahead, a successful supported bail program. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. Rangi Ahupeni has run a successful supported bail program using traditional fishing techniques, but now he is missing a vital part of the program.
My boat got significantly damaged in a storm, and it didn't really need to have to be damaged. Some law-abiding citizen or overzealous person pulled out the stern line. I put a stern line at the back of my boat to stop the back of the boat swinging around into the bank, and that was pulled out. So as a result, and the storm came through about 3 weeks ago, and the waves just pounded it into the bank and just ripped the side of my boat off.
So what did you use the boat for before it was damaged?
I used it for personal use because I love fishing, and with my work I also use it to take out the young people that I work with, to take them fishing and to experience the wonderful gifts that fishing has got to offer.
Has the absence of the boat had an impact on the rehabilitation programs you do?
Yes, well, I've had to say to some of my young people that I work with, well, we can't go fishing until this is repaired, and so it's been delayed in terms of taking them out.
What do you do with youth on bail as part of your course?
I do a lot of things. The main thing is that my job is to prevent them from reoffending, prevent them from breaching the bail conditions, and then I build a program around the young person's interests and my strengths, and basically keep them too busy to get into trouble, and hopefully plant a few positive seeds of change on the way. It's not a long time, it's only 6 weeks, and given that time frame, I must be doing something right, because the results speak for themselves.
And what connection does that have with fishing?
With the fishing, 9 out of 10 young people that I work with want to go fishing. So that really helps me and makes it easier for me, especially when I got a boat, and I love fishing myself, and I'll tell you what, I love the fact that I get paid to go fishing. So it's a dream job in that respect. So I take these young people out and I teach them how to tie knots, teach them where to find the fish, because if you're going to go fishing, you want to catch fish. And I've been quite successful too in the harbour, especially in summer. And I also bring the element of the Māori cultural perspective around fishing. It's like whenever we go fishing, we have a karakia, a prayer. We acknowledge the God of the sea, and we ask for safety and we ask for bounty. And also we finish off with a karakia as well. I also am passionate about traditional Māori fishing techniques. And so within the last year, I have managed to, because I'm an artistic person, so I've carved my own bone fish hooks based on traditional Māori designs. I've taken them out to the sea and I've used them and I've caught fish. Yeah, so I'm really cool about that, and so I love the fact that I can transfer that experience to the young people. And I look for moments of power where taking a kid fishing is a great thing in itself. Teaching a kid how to make their own bone hook, then taking their hook and then catching a fish on their hook is amazingly awesome. And a young person cannot help but respond positively to that experience. And so that's where I'm coming from.
So the youth actually make their own hook?
Yeah. So I sit next to them and coach them through carving it. And so it's a total experience from, okay, this is what we're going to do. Let's sit down, let's start making this hook. And then, okay, great, that looks fantastic. And we even put the flax binding on it. So we use all traditional materials, and once we put the flax binding on it, we use kauri gum to act as like a protective resin, and that makes it stiffer, protects the line, and also stops the flax from rotting. So it's all traditional based.
How do you think helping these youth reconnect with their Māori culture and their Māori ancestry helps them not reoffend?
Well, my belief is that one of the biggest reasons why these young people are offending in the first place is that they've forgotten who they are. Their families have forgotten who they are. These are Māori families that have become urbanised. They're marginalised in our society anyway. And so really they've created their own culture, which is not necessarily positive. And so they've forgotten who they are. So for me, it's about reconnecting them to who they are on a surface level and then deeper. So I introduce these practical activities which are cool, because kids love getting their hands into something. It's cool. They have tangible something to look at, to use, and then I bring in the story. It's okay, who made the first hook in Māori culture? Maui. Who was Maui? What did Maui do? How does he relate to you? And then I can even connect them through whakapapa to Maui. Yeah. So it's again, exactly what I said. It's reconnecting to who they truly are.
If you would like to help out with getting the program a new boat, you can contact Te Tuinga Whānau Support Services. That is the news for today. We would love to hear from you, so please like us on Facebook or email us. Thanks for joining us. I will be back tomorrow night with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.